everybody, and welcome to the R Squared podcast. And we are less than 1 week away from the 2021 NFL season kickoff. Rahul, what did you just drink over there?
I just drank my bottle of Polo, a Rosewood 21 Polo edition, made by
There you
the
go.
Chavez brothers. And Chavez has to be the Chavez series must be one of my favorite scotches.
Good deal. You got some scotch going on here on Sunday night here, Labor Day weekend 2021. Season kicks off in about 4 or 5 days. So here we got a couple things for you. We're going to talk about the new Big 12 expansion, and we're going to give our NFC predictions this week. But to kick it off, so you've got your scotch going. I've got, it's called Town Branch Bourbon from Lexington, Kentucky. I've had this for a few years, so this has just been sitting here, to be honest. Not my most favorite. I like Bower Hill better. I like the Woodford Reserve better. Bullet Rye, but this is close to it a little bit. It's pretty smooth, but I'm just drinking it neat on the side. So yeah, keep on getting a little swigs of those scotch, Rahul, and we'll start talking about college football. So we just saw Notre Dame beat FSU in a thriller in Tallahassee. I've been to Doak Campbell Stadium myself, so it was 41-38. Brian Kelly with another win. They're gonna use it for their resume just to get blasted in the playoffs again later this year. But good for Notre Dame, and they have a strong following. They have high TV ratings, so great for Notre Dame. FSU, we'll see you down the line. Speaking of college football, Rahul. So Rahul is originally from Ohio. He actually spent time at two universities, Ohio State and University of Cincinnati. And the University of Cincinnati is in the news here because there could be more expansion. So, Rahul, you want to kick that off about the Big 12's expansion and the possibilities of what may come down the road?
Yes, they said as soon as this Tuesday, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, and BYU might jump and join the Big 12, which I think that's what the Big 12 should have done in the first place. When Oklahoma and Texas said they're going to leave and try to keep them and start giving them more money. And I think those are 4 strong programs, and I think that will shore up the Big 12 and keep it as a power conference for the foreseeable future. And because you have Ohio, considered a big football state, and you got Texas, and you're getting another Texas team in in Houston. So you're swapping Texas for Houston, and you're swapping Oklahoma for BYU, which had a huge following, and UCF is up and coming school. So I think it will be considered the up and coming conference, the new blood conference, compared to the old stalwarts of the ACC, Big Ten, SEC, and Pac-12.
And for you guys not in this area of the country, when I say not in this area of the country, I'm talking about Ohio, Michigan, this area. Cincinnati, if you haven't been paying attention for the last couple of years, has been on the map. They have Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell is one of the best coaches there is in college football. And I believe they played, was it Florida last year? Or was it, no, it was Georgia last year, right?
Right.
Georgia almost beat them. I think they scored the first touchdown. They lost to Florida about 10 years ago. I remember that one. But yeah, so I think the chip on UC's shoulder here is that they come from a smaller conference. It's perceived they don't have as much talent. You have one of the best coaches. You got a breeding ground of players here in Ohio, and Luke Fickell is getting top talent just like Ohio State is. He might not get the top talent from California, Texas, and Florida like Ryan Day is, but Fickell's getting that type of talent. And all of a sudden now, with saying that you are from the Big 12, and if you could beat the likes of TCU, Baylor, people like that, we know that Texas and Oklahoma might not be there anymore. You're going to have a pretty good chance to get them without any controversy in the final, whatever happens 2 or 3 years from now, because they're going to keep changing it. The Final Four, the Final Eight. So you never know. But as long as Fickell stays, now if Fickell leaves, down the road for maybe an Ohio State, Michigan, anything like that, I think UC will go back to square one.
Right, and the thing is, another thing is with them joining the Big 12 might encourage Fickle to stay since you can actually have better chance to get into the college football playoffs.
Yes.
So that might help them. And the rumor is they could join as early as 2023. So they might actually have 2 years where they can put Oklahoma and Texas on the conference schedule before Texas and Oklahoma leave for the SEC.
Wow. Yeah. So if they beat one of them, and also UC does have Notre Dame on the schedule this year. But if UC does beat Texas or Oklahoma, there you go. It's another chip on their shoulder, another feather in the cap to be able to get more and more recruits.
Right.
All I see for this is a step in the right direction for UC. And I didn't go to school there. I went to the University of Kentucky, but I'd like for UC to succeed because I live here and I want everything in Cincinnati to be on the up and up.
Yep. And the rumor is their quarterback might be a dark horse for the Heisman.
Yep, you never know. And then if anybody doesn't know there's a guy for UC. His name is Sauce Gardner. He is top 3 cornerback coming into the draft next year.
Yep.
He is amazing, and he's a shutdown corner. And I think if he went to Florida State, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, he would be consensus number 2 cornerback coming into the draft. But since he's going to UC, people might bring him down a rung. But Sauce Gardner is amazing. Derek Stingley is number 1 cornerback coming out of college.
And
out of LSU.
Also after the games yesterday and Saturday, ESPN released started releasing who they predict will be in the college football playoffs. 2 of the writers had Cincinnati as the 4th team in the college football playoffs. So that'll be interesting if they make the playoffs in the AAC. That'd be interesting. That might help change the landscape of college football. Who knows?
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens down the road when Georgia plays Alabama. It's probably going to be the same championship game like they always have every other year, except for the Burrow year. But Georgia looked ridiculous yesterday. Just their defense did. It's tough to beat Clemson, and they beat them. So.
But Georgia might have another loss before they hit Alabama. Who knows?
Who knows? You never know. That's why college football is so fun.
Yeah, I mean.
So moving on. Now, we are going to talk about the NFC playoff predictions, regular season predictions. Last week we did the AFC. NFC, to me, a little bit more challenging because I feel like it's a little bit more teams with higher potential and some unknowns. So, Rahul, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it off. We're going to go division by division. We're going to go team by team. We're going to kind of speed through them. I'm going to give you my predictions on them, and then we'll go to you.
Okay.
All right. So the NFC East. All right. That's where we're going to start it off. And I've listened to and watched a lot of pundits out there, and a lot of them are very high on the Washington Redskins to at least win this division. I don't have the Redskins winning. I think that Ron Rivera is a fantastic coach. I think their defense is nasty. Terry McLaurin from The Ohio State University is a great wide receiver. They got a lot of good things going for them. But Fitzmagic, are we really still going to be just jumping all over that? Redskins number 2. I have the Cowboys at the top of this division. Dak is back. Amari Cooper. You got Zeke back. Their O-line is back. And when everybody was together 2 or 3 years ago, they were a pretty dominant force during the regular season. They didn't win too much in the playoffs. And then add Lamb to all of that. Again, with Dak back, Zeke healthy, offensive line doing well. Micah Parsons in defense, new rookie out of Penn State linebacker. I have the Cowboys at 10-7, the Redskins at 9-8, and those are the top 2 in the NFC East. Again, Redskins, crazy defense. They got Chase Young, Jonathan Allen. But yeah, I think we can't rely on Fitz magic. Eagles. I got the Eagles at number 3, 6 and
Oh,
11. I think, and here we go. So I know there's a Giants there, but I don't believe in Danny Dimes. I haven't seen him do anything besides run 70 yards and fall on his face. I haven't seen him do too much. Okay. Why is he even labeled as Danny Dimes? They've got Sterling Shepard. I get it. Saquon Barkley. I get it. Evan Ingram. I get it. But you got your leader. You know, I think Jalen Hurts is better than Danny Dimes, and I think that the Eagles eventually will get back to playoff form in the next couple of years. They're going through a regrowth here, but the Giants are going to be pitiful in my opinion. Also, a name that you might be familiar with, Rahul, Kevin Zeitler,
right.
was with the Giants. He did leave, and he is now with the Ravens. So
Right.
O-line took a hit. Giants at 4-13, Eagles at 6-11, Redskins at 9-8, Cowboys at 10-7 with Dak back. Rahul, what say you?
I got a little bit different. I got the Washington football team winning the division at 9-8. I think their defense is just too strong, and Fitzpatrick will be a gunslinger, and he will throw some interceptions, but overall, he will do better for the team than Haskins did, in my opinion,
Okay.
and other quarterbacks. So I got them winning at 98. 98. I think the NFC East is the weakest division in NFC. The number 2, I got the Cowboys at tied in 98 also, but the Washington will win by just by I believe they'll sweep the Cowboys this year. So I think just by beating them twice, they will win the division. Cowboys will 9 also. I agree. Dak Prescott and Elliott will make a fearsome tandem, but the defense isn't that strong. So I think they will lose some close games because the defense couldn't make the extra 1 or 2 stops they needed to in order to seal the game. Then number 3, again, I got the New York Giants. With Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley leading the way at 6-11, and finally I got the Eagles. The Eagles are just an absolute mess. I think
They are a mess.
they are the worst football team in the NFC. If in the NFC, third worst in the NFL behind the Jets and the Texans. So I got them winning 4-13.
I
And I
got a
got
team that's going to be worse, I think, but keep going.
and I think the Washington football team will surprise us and win the division, even though the Cowboys have more glitz and more glamour. I think Washington football team are one quarterback away from from competing for Super Bowl. Hopefully they get them through a draft or through a trade. But I think if they get a young gun, they'll be in my opinion, they'll be number 2 behind Tampa Bay in the NFC.
I agree with that, and I will announce that I called the Washington football team the wrong name. I grew up liking that former name that I shouldn't be saying. I did like them in the 80s and 90s when they had the posse in 1991 with Mark Rippon and Gary Clark and all them.
Joe
So
Gibbs.
I even had Joe Gibbs was a coach. I had some Redskins jerseys. I got family from Virginia. Um, so I even wrote in my notes WFT, but it slipped of the tongue, said the former name that we shouldn't be saying anymore. So excuse me, audience, Washington football team. But it's interesting that you do think the Eagles are going to be the third worst team in the NFL. There's certain teams out there, they just have a history of not being the worst. In our Bengals, when for the audience again, we're Cincinnati based. Cincinnati, no matter what, even if they tend to do good, they're labeled as not one of the best teams. The Eagles, no matter what, figure out a way to either make the playoffs or be mediocre. I really don't remember the Eagles picking in the top 3 or anything like that. It just rarely happens. And I think Jalen Hurts is underrated. Miles Sanders is underrated. You're right. They don't have too many wide receivers. And who's their tight end anymore? And their defense, they still have Brandon Graham. But it's not the Eagles that won the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago. So you're right. Right. So moving on to the NFC South. I'm going to tell you this. I think I was just looking at teams from the last 15 to 20 years. Offensively, or not even that. I think this Tampa Bay team, as long as age doesn't get to him, this is one of the best teams ever coming in, at least most hyped. You got to think, look at these names, folks. You got Tom Brady, you got Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin. You got Gronk. I know he's on his way down. You got Levante David, who's ridiculous. You got on the offensive line is only going to get better. You got Brady in his second year in the system, Tristan Wirfs. You got this linebacker out of LSU, folks. This, I believe, his third or fourth year. He might be the second or third best linebacker in the NFL. Devin White, offensive line. When they were going deeper into the playoffs, I think they got dinged up a little bit, but then, they're better now. And Vita Vea is back too. So Bruce Arians already has a Super Bowl ring. Brady's used to Florida now. I got them. I almost was saying 16-1, but I'll give them 15-2. I think the Bucs are going to be killing it. Moving on there, I got the Saints at 9-8. This is something where I might have to revisit a little bit. I'm just learning that the Saints might not be playing in New Orleans for another month because of the hurricanes, right? And so will Jameis be the right leader for that squad when they're away from their families, living in hotels for a month? You still have Alvin Kamara, right? You got a great offensive line. Taysom Hill's going to get some snaps. No Mike Thomas means I don't have them over 10 wins. I have them at 9-8. There's a few publications that say the Panthers are going to be a playoff team. I don't see why they think that. I don't know. CMC, okay, number one fantasy football pick, him and Dalvin Cook, okay? Pick CMC. Other than that, what has Sam Darnold done to prove to anybody that they are going to go to the playoffs? I haven't seen anything yet. Mediocre offensive line, mediocre defense. CMC is ridiculous. But what else you got? Robby Anderson? Okay. I got 6-11 with the Panthers. And I think Atlanta could match that 6-11, but I have them at 5-12. Matt Ryan, way down on his downside of his career. They probably should have picked a quarterback in this past draft. They were enamored with Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts is going to be a freak. We highlighted him a lot back in March and April. He's great. Calvin Ridley, one of probably the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, but their lines stink. Their corners aren't that great. Safeties aren't that great. Mike Davis is a solid running back. Matt Ryan, again, he can play. He's on the downside of his career. I have them at 5-12. So again, recap: NFC South, Bucs, generational great team. As long as Brady doesn't get hurt, they're my Super Bowl pick. 15-2. Saints 9-8. Jameis, can he handle the pressure? Panthers 6-11. Atlanta Falcons 5-12. What say you, Rahul?
I agree. I think Tampa Bay is running away with this division. Tampa Bay is the only team in the NFL returning all 22 starters on offense and defense. And Tom Brady will just get better since he understands the office. And also I've been to stadium, Raymond James Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
It's outstanding stadium. I think I don't have them going 15-2. I have them going 13-4. The only reason is as soon as they seal number 1, number 2 seed in the playoffs, Bruce Arians will start resting Tom Brady and other players just to get them ready for the Super Bowl run. So I think they'll lose some games just because they'll be resting some of the older players, some of the some of the key players down the road on both on offense and defense. Number 2 is I got the Saints also, but I have them actually winning 10 games, going 10-7. I think Jameis Winston will do phenomenal this year. I think he won't be good as Tom Brady, but he will be a fantasy football baller. He will be throwing up insane number of points just because once Michael Thomas is healthy, just throw the ball within his catch radius and he has the ball. And Taysom Hill, you can do some trick plays with both of them. Either split either Winston Jameson or Taysom Hill as a wide receiver and see what happens. But I get them number 2 with 10 wins. Number 3, it's a toss-up with the Falcons and Carolina. I think it'll be the Carolina just because Sam Darnold. What I've been hearing from Jets players is the coach didn't let him play his game. He was kept on a tight leash, and he had to follow the plays to the T. They don't let him freelance like a lot of quarterbacks do. And I think they'll be able to do that in Carolina. And with Luke McCaffrey, sorry, not Luke McCaffrey. Sorry.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. I get mixed up with his brother. But anyway, with Christian McCaffrey, they will put up at least 7 wins and go 7-10 and finish up 3rd place. 4th will be the Falcons with you're right, Matt Ryan has declined. Kyle Pitts is a great quarterback. Great tight end. But the problem is if the quarterback can't get him the ball, what's the point?
Yeah.
If Julio Jones was still on a team, I'd put him 3rd or even 2nd because Kyle Pitts and Julio Jones would be a deadly tandem, but he's gone. So I got them with maybe 5 wins at 5-12, and Atlanta will be drafting a new quarterback, and this will be Matt Ryan's final year in Atlanta.
I agree, and I think some teams are kind of be kicking themselves for not getting Justin Fields. I think Atlanta made a mistake there, and we'll see down the road. I think Kyle Pitts, again, generational talent. He could be Travis Kelce, but Justin Fields. I'm not going to say Mahomes, nothing like that. But Justin Fields, I think, is going to be nasty. All right. So with a segue of talking about Justin Fields, we're going to go to the NFC North, the grimy NFC North, and a couple big stories out of there. What's A-Rod going to be like? Coming back, spending a lot of time in Hawaii and hiking in the mountains and relearning the playbook and being tough and not agreeing with management. This was probably the best team in the NFC through the regular season last year until they met, the GOAT in the playoffs at their own home and still lost. So you got the Pack with A-Rod. Pretty much everybody's back. You got Bears who are going to start out with Dalton at quarterback. I think he's going to – I like Dalton a lot just because, he was here at Cincinnati, but it's been 10 years. He's lost a little bit of a touch. Fields is going to start by game 2 or 3. I got the Bears there. So Pack, Bears, Vikings, Lions. So Packers with Aaron Rodgers relearning the playbook, relearning how to get acclimated with the new system. They're still going to be great. Probably 2nd or 3rd best team in the NFC. Still have a great defense. Great cornerback there. 11-6. That's my opinion. Bears, they have Allen Robinson, Mike Montgomery. The Vikings are neck and neck with him. But I just think Justin Fields is going to turn some heads this year. He really is. And to come into Chicago, who hasn't won anything in a long, long time, and to get them a winning record, I think is going to be awesome for the Windy City. And I think they're going to be 10-7. And don't forget the Bears defense. They're the monsters of the Midway. They still have Khalil Mack, and they are still a force. So all they really needed, just like the Redskins, all these years, is they need a quarterback, and they got one. So, and then next year, just what? Wait, as long as he doesn't get hurt, could be replacing Packers at the top of this division. Then I got the Minnesota Vikings. We love Mike Zimmer here in Cincinnati. He probably should have been the Bengals coach 10 years ago, but Mike Brown did not want to do anything smart like that. So Zimmer is a great defensive mind. Their defense will always be good. They got a guy, Daniil Hunter, is amazing. You got obviously probably the second best running back in the NFL right now. Maybe Kamara's the second best, maybe Henry. But fantasy wise, he's consistently going number 2 is Dalvin Cook out of FSU. You got Justin Jefferson, who broke all kinds of records. So toss up for me. I got the Bears at 10-7 and the Vikings at 10-7. Now, Rahul, you said the third worst team in the NFL. We kind of talked about obviously the Texans. I think we might have mentioned the Jags last week. The Lions, to me, Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. I don't know who else that team even has. I think the Lions consistently, basement organization. They have DeAndre Swift, a great running back out of Georgia from a couple of years ago. I think he's hurt. Jared Goff, who is he going to throw to? They have no name wide receivers. I almost said 1-16, but people are going to, this is the NFL still. Yeah, they're going to get another game. I think the Lions are going to be 2-15. So repeat, Packers, division champs again, because A-Rod is there, 11-6. Then you got Bears at 10-7. I got the Vikes at 10-7 with Kirk Cousins, and the Lions at 2-15. What do you think, Rahul?
I agree with the Packers being the winner of the division. If I give them one more win, I have them at 12-5. I think they will be great regular season team. Aaron Rodgers is still, I think, the third or fourth best quarterback in the NFL. But I think this will be his last year in Green Bay.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're heading for a ugly divorce, and because of that, I got the Bears winning 10 games. I think Justin Fields will make his debut in Week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Because I think Andy Dalton, first game, will fall on his face.
Yeah, probably going to happen.
And I had them at 10-7. But here's the kicker: I have the Bears going to the NFC Championship game against the Buccaneers, and then go deeper in the playoffs than the Packers. And they'll lose to the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers will win the Super Bowl. But I think the Bears will. I think Justin will be shaky for first 3 or 4 games, but then he'll get in his groove and he will light the league on fire until they run into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And third, I got the Vikings. I got them at. This is tough. The defense is good. Kirk Cousins is serviceable. And Dalvin Cook's back there, and Jefferson. I got them at 8-9 this year. And the Lions, Jeff Goff is their saving grace, and he will get them to 6-11. They will be a bad team, but not the worst team. I think they'll be.
I don't know who he's throwing to.
I don't know either, but I think they'll be an entertaining team. They'll remind us of the Bengals last year with Burrow. Even though they win a lot of games, they're fun to watch, and I think that will be the Detroit Lions this year. They won't win many. Because I just think Goff is a better quarterback than Hurts, and that's the saving grace for the Lions. It all depends what they do next year, but that's why I have Packers, Bears, Vikings, Lions, but I got the Bears going deeper in the playoffs than the Packers.
And again, as long as Fields doesn't get hurt, if you keep that defense around, and you got Allen Robinson is a great wide receiver. Yep. You got Mike Montgomery, great running back. I think they can make some noise. And then I just think when you are a rookie quarterback, it's tough to go very deep in the playoffs or even to the Super Bowl. But the following year, all bets are off. So I'm really high on Justin Fields. You can see it on our blogs. The guy transferred from one area of the country to another. Their defense is nasty. They could do all kinds of things the following year. Moving on, to the NFC West. Go ahead. Any more on the NFC
One
North?
more thing. You remember Roethlisberger made the AFC Championship game his rookie year. And so and Dalton made it to the playoffs his rookie year also.
That's true.
So it's not unheard of. It was just.
No, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're definitely going to make the playoffs. They got a great defense. I just don't know if they're going to go past, go to the NFC Championship game. But you never know. You could be right. They've got the right chemistry. Anything can happen.
But just if I remember, Ohio State only played 6 games last year, so
that's true.
So he still has fresh legs. So who knows? I mean, going through everything in spiral. So we'll see.
We'll see. All right, this is the toughest division in the NFL. I think we're going to the NFC West, and with that being said, and this will be one of the reasons why I think the Bears might not be able to make it to the championship game is because the teams coming out of here. I've got 3 teams in this division going to the playoffs, and so you got the Rams, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and Arizona. Okay, so I'll kick it off at the top. And I think down the road, give it 2 years, the Rams are going to be in the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to be this year because as long as Brady doesn't get hurt, that's going to be one of the greatest teams ever. But Matthew Stafford, great talent, and it's more of what Sean McVay was looking for. I think the cool California personality of Goff, even though he's an exceptional talent, something didn't vibe there with the coaching staff in Los Angeles. Matthew Stafford's the guy. There's reports are that they're gelling really well. You got Jalen Ramsey's the best cornerback in the NFL, in my opinion. Aaron Donald might be, besides Brady, the best player in the NFL. Definitely the best defensive tackle. Already a Hall of Famer, most likely. Got other players such as Cooper Kupp. I really like the wide receiver out of Louisville that they just drafted, Tutu Atwell. They got, their starting running back got hurt. That's going to be a ding on them. But I think they got several serviceable backups. I think his name is Devery Henderson. So I have them doing really, really well and blowing people out a lot this year, especially with Sean McVay's system and a gunslinger like Stafford. I just don't think they could beat the Bucs and Brady and that entire Levante David, Devin White squad down the road. But I got them at 14-3. I've got the Seahawks. As long as you have Russell Wilson, and now you have that crowd back. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer. You got DK Metcalf, who's running in Olympic trials. Chris Carson's underrated running back. People are down on the Seahawks. They still have Russell Wilson, folks. Russell Wilson, and they have the 12th man, 13-4. I think the Seahawks are great, and I think nobody's looking at them because they're always kind of in the mix, and they haven't been to the Super Bowl in 4 or 5 years. The 49ers are going to be back. They had a lot of people opt out. They had a lot of injuries last year.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're going to the Super Bowl. That doesn't mean they're going to be 14-3 because there's always going to be some growing pains when you put the whole squad back together. But just like I listed with the Bucs earlier, you got these names going on. You got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Nick Bosa, probably the best defensive end in football. You got Fred Warner. Fred Warner is probably the most underrated linebacker in the NFL, I think. He's great in coverage, and he can sack the quarterback as well. Garoppolo versus Trey Lance will be interesting to see. Trey Lance might end up being the best quarterback out of this past draft. I don't think so. I think it'll be Justin Fields, but Trey Lance will be up there. But again, too many things going on. A new situation. Everybody's gelling. 10-7 49ers. And then last, I've got Arizona. Arizona paper's good. Kyler Murray, very hard to tackle. But Arizona, unless you had that year about 11, 12 years ago with Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald in his prime, what tends to happen, NFL is a kind of a game of patterns, is you always have good players who want to retire in Arizona, right? And at the end of their career, they don't want to go to Buffalo. They don't want to go to Green Bay. They don't even want to go to Seattle. They know, hey, Other people have done in the past. We should too. Let's go to Arizona. J.J. Watt is past his prime. Okay, and he's going to start. A.J. Green, maybe my favorite NFL player ever. Maybe. He's past his prime. Fitzgerald, there was a report last week that he just doesn't know if he feels football anymore. He might not even play. So, but they still have Kyler Murray. He's ridiculous. And I like their coach. 7-8, Arizona. So to recap, NFC West, the Rams, Sean McVay finally got his guy, 14-3. Seahawks, never sleep on Russell Wilson, ever. 13-4. 49ers, watch out for them the following year, 10-7. Arizona, 7-8. Rahul, what do you think?
I agree with you with the Rams. I got them at 10 wins at 10-7. I think the reason they win with only 10 games is because I think each team is maybe a little bit better than the next team. I mean, they're very close, competitive, and they'll be beating each other up within the division.
That's a good observation.
Then I got Seattle at 9-8. I think Russell Wilson finally has the offensive line. He can throw the ball, get the ball to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
So I got them at 9-7. And coming in third, also at 9-8, is Arizona. I think they have enough old and new to be good with AJ Green, JJ White, Kyler Murray, and some younger players. And also, I'm going to throw 49ers in there at 9-8 also. I think there'll be 3 teams 9-8. And the reason they don't have more wins is because Garoppolo will get hurt, and they go Trey Lance, and it'll be a learning curve for him.
Yeah, I agree with the learning curve.
And I got all 4 teams making the playoffs from the division. I got this entire division making the playoffs. It's just, these teams are so loaded that they'll beat each other up, and you'll have a 3-way tie for second place with the Rams 1 game better than the rest of the division.
Well, there you go. So who's going to be in the NFC Championship game with the Bucks?
The Bucks and the Bears.
Bucks and the Bears. Okay. And will that be in Chicago or down in Florida?
It'll be in Florida because the Bears will make it in as a wild card.
There you go. I like that. I like that. I like that pick. I like that pick. Yeah. And Allen Robinson, again, is, to me, I think he's one of the top 2 or 3 most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. So good for fantasy folks. In my opinion, the Rams go pretty far, but I don't think the Rams can overcome Brady. Seen Brady, he's a genius. So I think I've got the Rams in the NFC Championship game. It's not even just Brady anymore. That entire squad is crazy. Every single position, like you said, they're returning everybody from last year, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Bucks 40. The Rams, 23, something like that. NFC Championship game. I like your pick from last week, where you have the Bucks beating the Dogs, the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl. I like that wild pick there. You never know with Baker and Odell Beckham Jr. As long as he's not hurt, comes back Nick Chubb. So I'm kind of still back and forth on who's going to play the Bucks in the Super Bowl. I have the Bucks beating the Rams, and then the Bucks winning the Super Bowl and blowing out Buffalo. And they're gonna that northwest New York Orchard Park area is going to relive the memories of the early '90s where they keep losing, and it won't be by a missed field goal. I think the Bucks will beat them by 3 or 4 touchdowns, or they play Mahomes again if somehow they get their defense all situated, and I think the Bucks win in a close one this time by a field goal. That's my predictions for this year.
The reason I don't have the Rams going to the NFC Championship game is because they'll be too beat up by then from the other 3 teams in the division, and they'll just either either Stafford won't be 100% or some key other player won't be 100%, and it would be like Stafford back in what is 2021, so 2017 in the 2017 the Detroit Lions came to Seattle to play the Seahawks in a playoff game, and
Mhm.
Stafford was so beat up he can throw the ball more than 10 or 12 yards, and the Seahawks just destroyed him. And I think that's what happened to Stafford again with the Rams. Um, they'll do better. I mean, Stafford will be a phenomenal fantasy player, and he will look good and he'll do good things. But they'll be too beat up by the division, in my opinion.
Great. Yeah. And Aaron Donald will probably be doing a lot of beating up a lot. And so will Jalen Ramsey. By the way, remember when AJ Green beat up Jalen Ramsey on the field about
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago? Great moment in NFL history. But still, I do like the Rams. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next year because I do think that eventually Father Time will get Brady. And I said that 5 years ago. But if Father Time eventually gets him, I think the Bears are coming up. I think the Rams coming up, and the 49ers will be back. So I think it'll be interesting. I think this year, I don't have all four teams in the NFC West getting to the playoffs. I do have Zona not making it. I think J.J. Watt is way past his prime, but Kyler Murray is still going to be Kyler Murray. I think there's going to be an interesting fight there for the last uh, spot in the NFC for the playoffs. I think the Vikings, the Saints, the Redskins will all be fighting for it. I do like, at the end of the day, two defensive squads, the Redskins and the Vikings. I said the Redskins again. Washington football team. I saw the smirk. So, in honor of me messing it up twice, here's a drink to everybody. It's the Washington football team, and they will make the NFL playoffs and lose. Washington football team. And I'm going to burn my notes here that say that mascot that starts with an R. It's the Washington football team. Terry McLaurin and company makes the playoffs and then gets crushed by the Bucks, maybe in the first round.
But
or after the bye, whatever that is.
But the Washington football team, but DC will go nuts if they make the playoff. DC,
yeah, they will
go like it will be insane if they make the playoff.
Yeah.
I was there when the Washington Capitals, their hockey team, made it, and that city was crazy, and so they made the NHL final, even though they lost, but that city went nuts. So I think they are a sports town that's dying for their football team, baseball team, hockey team, basketball team to be good.
Yeah,
so
and the Wizards are never going to do anything, but
yes.
that area actually, in a period of 4 or 5 years, people always talk about New York, Boston. Boston, I think, is title town. New York, Boston, Chicago, all that. Dallas is a lot of times, and definitely L.A. But in a period of 4 or 5 years, you had the Nationals won the World Series, right? The Capitals didn't win the Stanley Cup, and college basketball is still a high rated sport, and maybe my second or third favorite. The Virginia Cavaliers won the national championship, all within a 3 or 4 year period. So kudos to them. I do think they have the right formula, and you're right. What you said earlier this evening was correct. They're missing one thing, because I think Fitz. We can't just keep on saying the words Fitz magic forever. They've got a top-notch defense. They got underrated running back. They got Terry McLaurin. They got Ron Rivera, should have never been fired by the Carolina Panthers.
I agree.
He is a great coach. You put one good quarterback there, and they might be the same as the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Or better. And they could be in the Super Bowl here soon enough, unless the Cowboys get them here soon. So we will see. But it seems exciting. Thursday night. What's your prediction for Thursday night? You got kickoff, NFL kickoff. You got the Cowboys. You got the Bucks.
I think the Bucks will win big just because Dak Prescott will be rusty still, and they will have and they become one dimensional because and depend on Elliott way too much, and they won't be able to run the ball or pass the ball. And I got the Bucks 49 and the Cowboys 21.
Okay, wow. Okay, remember, this any given Sunday, it's still the NFL. It's pros playing against pros. Zach Martin is out for the game, all-pro guard. Missed a lot in the past few years, but when he's healthy, he's might be the best guard in the NFL. But he's out.
Right.
I have the Bucks going on a rampage because they want to show everybody that last year was not a fluke. But still, it's the NFL. I have the Bucks winning 30-23 here on Thursday night against them Cowboys. So, again, Bucks Super Bowl champs. We look forward to this year, and just to let you all know, BenchDraft is coming for you, and we will be better than every other option. We're getting close, and you just wait and see what we have for the public. And I'll tell you that drafts are going right now. When you get to see our product, you might not have to do drafts the traditional way. But if you're still doing drafts and everything like that, I'll tell you, if you're not picking CMC number one, I had a draft the other day where I was number two, and I was really debating Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry, or who should I pick? I was thinking even maybe Aaron Jones. All of a sudden, the guy picked Dalvin. So they must believe in the Vikings. But I picked up CMC, and I already saw on Yahoo, game one, CMC is predicted to have 27 to 28 points.
Yeah, but I got Dalvin. I was picking third. I got Dalvin Cook, and also pick up Matthew Stafford later in my draft. Also, speaking of bench draft, a survey will be in the link below for you to take about fantasy football, and we encourage you to take it and give us your opinion on what you think about fantasy football.
Give us any comments, folks. We want to strive to be the best fantasy football option out there in the marketplace, and we will be there. But yeah, we can't do it without you, our customers, and our loyal listeners. So please leave your comments below. Give us some suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. And follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And signing out, NFC Bucks champions, Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Bucks. Take it easy.
Take it easy.